live in a war zone for a long time, you can't plan anything. You know, like no electricity, no zombie in Canada, pretty much. Like just my body was here, my mind was completely in Libya. I was like, I'm here to learn English.
Okay.
If I stay with them, I'm gonna speak Arabic. When you are in a war for so long, you forget that there is normal people living normal life.
Bonjour.
Beauté.
Azul.
Welcome to Qu'est-ce, qu'On mange à Midi, a podcast to discuss, exchange about our life as newcomers, immigrants, in the workplace, in school as an international student, and just in life in general, because the decision that we take today is going to affect what we're going to eat at lunch tomorrow. So, welcome to this new episode, and it's really our pleasure today to have Anas with us. And
It's my pleasure as well.
oh, thank you. We also say hello to Amanda and Marila, who are not with us today, but don't worry, you're gonna see them in the next episode. So yes, we are with Anas today for another episode, sharing the inspiring journey of a newcomers here in New Brunswick, and we're really excited about this one because Anas has a lot of things to say, and we're pretty sure that many of you are gonna relate and learn new things about his journey. So without further, we're not gonna extend this too long. You're not here for us today, but first of all, how are you, Anas?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you for asking. How are you guys?
Doing great, yeah.
Okay.
A little tired today, we're not gonna lie. but
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so
After
much.
that, Yeah.
Yeah, that was a few days ago, but definitely
Yes.
thank you. So yeah, we're gonna start right from the beginning. Who is Anas? Like, just kind of present yourself, just like in a few lines before we go deeper.
Oh. That was the deepest question. You think that's not a deep question? Just tell me who you are. you know?
That's it.
Where do I start? I am Anas Nannis. I grew up in Libya.
Yeah.
My city is called Zwara.
Yeah.
I am native North African, so my first language is Tamazight.
Okay.
What else? I'm a very shy person.
Really?
Okay, no, I'm joking.
This is a big lie.
That is a big lie.
I am the opposite of a shy person.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can't control it because I always want to speak. I always want to, express myself. So yeah, I would say I'm an extrovert a little bit. What else do you want to know? What else?
What do you do?
What do I do now?
Yeah.
Yes, that's actually a good point. I am a videographer. I have a video production company, and I have a car dealership. Very unrelated two things, but
Businessman.
That's what I do right now.
Okay, we're gonna discuss more about this.
Yeah.
Now we're going in the deeper,
Yes.
the deeper aspect. But first of all, we also want to thank Anas today because he's the one filming. So if you see how we have level up,
Yeah.
it's Anas. Thank you.
No pressure.
Yeah. So we don't worry. We're gonna put all the details to join him, his website and everything. If you need a videographer, make sure you call Anas, please. Thank you. Thank you. This is not sponsored, but it's worth it.
Thank you.
But it's really, so what brought you to Canada, Anas? Yeah, just drink. It's good for the mind. You can also drink it in the meantime.
School. So I mainly I came here to study English.
Yeah.
So I applied to Algonquin College in Ottawa. That's when I applied first to study English because I didn't speak much English before then.
Yeah.
I came in end of 2014, so
Okay.
pretty much 2015. I came in, I stayed in Ottawa for 8 months. I studied English as a second language program, full-time studying English. And after that, the opportunity of studying in a university here. I applied to do the IELTS test, and I did a decent score. So I applied for multiple universities and colleges. I applied for Seneca in Toronto. I applied for Mount A in Sackville, New Brunswick, and another college. I got accepted in Mount A. We were the first to send me a full acceptance, and yeah, I found myself in Sackville, and then Sackville, Moncton. It was an
It's
easy
not that
transition.
far,
Yeah, an easy transition after I finished university there.
Okay, so what did you study at Mount?
I did the aviation science program. So I did a bachelor in aviation science in Mount A, and then I did the actual flying in Moncton Flight College.
Okay.
So that's where I have what I did, like my private license, commercial license, and all of that.
Was there a passion for have you always been those little kids that I want to be a pilot when I grow up?
That's actually a very good question, because this will lead us to another conversation, which is why I didn't continue in aviation, because I was not that kid that sees a plane and they're like, I always wanted to be a basketball, but then didn't work out.
Okay.
Basketball player is my thing.
And if you pass here, you can always call him. Maybe.
It didn't work. Too many injuries, so it didn't work with basketball. Yeah. But so to be totally honest with you, the reason why I did aviation is because I got a scholarship in aviation.
Oh, okay.
It was never like, I wanted to be this or that. I got a scholarship, and that scholarship said, you have to study aviation to accept this scholarship. I was like, yep, I'm studying aviation. If it said you have to be a doctor, I would have been a doctor. But that's pretty much the reason why I studied aviation. And I did have interest in it. It's not like I hated it or something like that, right? Otherwise, I would have not been able to graduate. So I had an interest. I enjoyed flying and all of that. But I think it was like my third year where I was like, nah, I don't think I'm gonna continue as a job. I don't think I can do this as a career. Yeah. So I was enjoying videos way more, and so I was more like a business mindset. So I wasn't, I wasn't fit for that field. So that's why when I graduated, I was like, yeah, I'm not continuing with that. But so that's what I did.
So I have a question. It was so easy to study in aviation science.
Was it easy?
Yeah.
I don't
just see like the mathematics.
It wasn't easy, but it wasn't hard. I mean, it wasn't like crazy hard either. But it's not easy because it did have a lot of that. So because it's like science related, so we had like the physics, the maths, the annoying stuff. So I think the more challenging part was trying to manage the degree in Mount A, having like all of our lectures. So the way this program went is that we do our morning lectures at the university up until like 3 p.m. And then at 5 we have ground school, which is for aviation, right? So because aviation, you don't just fly. It's all, we get just as much time studying than flying, compared to the degree. So we had from 5 to 8 studying ground school for aviation. So it was like a full day of studying. Wow. And then sometimes after you finish that, you might have a flight at night, or you have a flight at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. Depending on the schedule. So you have to drive to Dieppe and then do your flying. And flying, another thing is that flying is not just, turning on the airplane and you take off, right? So you need to be there an hour and a half before, depending if you're doing a cross country or a short flight. You always have to be at least an hour before to do your walk around, make sure that plane is good, to do your checklist. It's all checklists in aviation. And then after you finish, you have a briefing with your instructor. So that's another 45 minutes. So, every trip you make it here, you're probably here for 4 or 5 hours before you make it back to Sackville. And then, so that was the challenging part. It wasn't like that the school was, very difficult. The content or the materials were very difficult. It was more like trying to balance all of that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's not easy for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we understood that, you went to aviation, find that it wasn't your thing, but want to know, where does the passion for videography, where is it coming from?
It started with the revolution in Libya in 2011. So that's when I started taking photos with like a point and shoot camera. We were taking photos and videos of the events that are happening in Libya. We were sending them to like news out, like Al Jazeera, CNN. We're sending what's happening in Libya. Yeah, so we started a small media center in my city. We were covering all the events that were happening, and so that's where it started. So it started with photos, and then I got into videos because nobody wanted to film videos. You know, it's always like, nah, we'll take photos. So I started doing videos, but then I started enjoying it more than photos. So I just kept focus on videos. So that's where it first started. And when I came here to Canada as well, I did a lot of volunteer work, like video volunteer work in Ottawa. And then when I came here to Sackville, I did a lot of work for Monet. And then that's when I'm like, maybe I should charge for this. You know, that's where it started, you know, like, you know, getting bigger from there. Is like, okay, I think I can make money off of this, you know. So yeah, and that's how it went.
Oh, that's good. That's different. I love what you said. Like, I think it's something that we find common with the people that we've talked to in interviews so far. Is really you know, you find out that you're good for something.
Yeah.
You kind of work yourself on to develop that, and you know, you find the opportunity now to kind of go deeper, because sometimes we find that we have a talent and we don't go to the next step, like okay, we just want to go and charge directly. But I love what you did, you know, I volunteer, you know, because you're making a name for yourself, you know, and you're also growing the skills, the network and everything, because now people, you know, you serve other people. And for me, I was raised with that, you know, it's by serving that, you know, you actually get something for yourself. You know, you don't just get something like that if you don't want to serve other people. It's, you know, by serving people that you're actually serving yourself by serving other people.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I really love that. So I think that's something for people that listen to us. If you're newcomers in New Brunswick or in the country, or even if you're not a newcomer, serve other people. It's always good. It's always pleasure. So if you are here right now, please put in the comments, serve other people. Like volunteer, networking, it's like really, 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 really important. So yeah, I really love that part of this. So so the moment there that you start feeling like, okay, this is my passion. I'm in Moncton, or no, I'm in New Brunswick, and I kind of find like this is my passion and everything. So did you enter like a program for like, you know, starting your business or something like that, or?
Not really. There was like a workshop I did that was, I think it was by Opportunity MB. It was called Study as a State program.
Okay.
It wasn't really tailored for like entrepreneurs or something like that, for somebody to start a business. But it did touch on importance of communication and connections and all of that, like, you know, very simple stuff. But I never been in a program where, like, you know, it shows you, hey, if you're a new business owner in New Brunswick, you should do this and do that. You know, it's all trial and error, and you know, you learn the kind of the hard way, pretty much, of how things work. But yeah, I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. So. You know, I took my time. That's what I would say. Because like the other thing is that when I started like actually working as a videographer my second year of university. So I was full-time studying, and I was doing weddings in the summer. So that's where when kind of like started the business model, was doing weddings. That's what I started with. I did a wedding for a friend, and then I did another wedding and another wedding, and then I can show people, they're like, hey, here's the videos that I shot. So it was every summer I would do like 3, 4, 5 weddings. And then I think my third year of university is that when Monet wanted me to do some marketing work for them. So I did a big campaign for them as well. So yeah, it was like little by little weddings, and then Monet, and then the town of Sackville saw the videos that I made for Monet, and they were like, "Oh, who's the videographer?" Yeah, pretty much.
We want him.
Yeah. So I started doing older videos as well. So, you know, and these are big entities. Just with them, you can have a full-time job, pretty much, right? So I was doing a lot of videos for both Monet and the town of Sackville, and then with the weddings. And then fourth year, it was like, okay, I'm doing like 7, 8 weddings a summer, and then I have Monet, I have the town of Sackville, and then I did couple work for like different companies here in Moncton. So at my fourth year, before I even graduated, I was like full time. I was like, okay,
I'm
I
a
know
boss.
exactly what I'm doing. Yeah.
I'm boss.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's easier to see looking back now. It's like, yeah, I'll have full time. But the first 2 years, I was working full time at the dollar store in Sackville.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not full time, part time.
Part-time,
Yeah,
still.
part time. Yeah, so I was part time and doing videos and studying full time.
Wow.
So that's it. And the only reason why I was able to leave the dollar store is I remember when I had like 6 weddings or 7 weddings a summer, I was like, I can just do the weddings, you know, I can just do that. So I left the dollar store and I focused more on videos, but that's kind of like a quick run. Yeah.
So are there any challenges that you face kind of when you came, when you came in Ottawa, and after that when you came in New Brunswick, first of all as an international student, and after that, you know, when you started like wanted to go full time, you know, in your business as a videographer? So let's start with the international student part. Yeah, because like you confuse a bit there.
For me personally, it could be very different for other people, right?
Yeah.
For me, the biggest challenge was just coming from a war zone and then coming to a civilized life. That was the hardest challenge for me, because when you are in a war for so long, you forget that there is normal people living normal life. I genuinely forgot that existed in the world. So because you were so into it, and then you think that what's happening in the world is that they all paused, you know, like, oh, look what's happening in Libya, let's just stop everything, you know. It's naive to think, but that's what I had in mind, because the horror, what's happening was terrible, and you couldn't imagine that there is people living a normal life, you know. So that was the biggest shock for me, and to get used to, like, okay, I can have like a normal life, like I can wait for the bus at 7, it's probably gonna be at 7, and I can, you know, like these are, I know it's a silly thing, but when you live in a war zone for a long time, you can't plan anything, you know, like no electricity, no gas, no this, no water, you go there, no, the road is closed, there's this bombing, there's that, so you can't plan, you just live day by day. So I think the biggest challenge for me was understanding that I can have a normal life. Like I can go to school, study, go to gym, make food. Like I can have a plan. You know what I mean? So that was and it might sound small, but it took me at least 2 years to accept that. To accept, and there's also the other part, which is kind of feeling guilt.
Yeah,
you know,
still have your family there.
Yeah, you left your country and you're having a better life compared to what they have in there. So you're, you know, so I think for me, these are the biggest challenges. It wasn't necessarily like financially or, you know, for me, it was the mental challenges that were the most, because like for the first 2 years, I was pretty much only a zombie in Canada, pretty much like just my body was here. My mind was completely in Libya. I was just planning things in Libya and this, talking to my friends and this and that. I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to finish English and I'm going to peace out. I wasn't even planning to stay here for university. So that was the kind of the biggest challenge. And then I think the reason why I said 2 years, because that's when kind of I recognized like I am also deserving of a good life. You know, yes, I would want that for all my city, all my country, for my all African people, but I also am deserving of this life, and maybe if I work hard and do things, maybe I can help. You know what I mean? So for me, that was the biggest challenge. The rest was like, it wasn't rocket science. You just study and you pass, and if you want to make money, you go work. And we are lucky to be in a country where you can find work. You know what I mean? Like, so that's my experience.
So with all of that you just say, what, like, how can I say that? Oh, I forgot my question.
We're good. In the meantime, please subscribe and like. Thank you.
Every time she gets an opportunity, slide it in.
Marketing, friends.
Yeah.
What was like the thing which helped you to stay like in Canada, like the reason, because you said like you didn't plan like to stay in Canada, but you stay.
Yes.
You
Well,
stay.
I definitely like the country, you know. So that was obviously that was a big part of it. That starting with simple thing as safety and planning things, and I can take the bus at that time. It will arrive at that time. That was kind of like whoa for me, you know. And then building on that, people obviously, you know, like I had amazing experiences with most of the people that I met, you know, here in Canada. But yeah, I think it's opportunity and then the lack of opportunity back in Libya. So it's like, you know,
The
a mix of
balance
both,
there.
you know what I mean? Like, okay, if I go now, what am I going to do? What is, you know what I mean? Especially thinking as a pilot, when we have a, you know, like our air at the time was like, you can't, there's no
Flying.
flying, you know what I mean? So I'm like, what am I going to do there, you know? So that was the, one of the reasons. It's like the, you know, like the lack of opportunities back in Libya. I was like, okay, maybe things will get better and then they all go back, you know, which I guess this line can be captured by every international person. You know, when things get better back home, I will go back. But that's yeah.
But I also know it's really inspiring because, you know, sometimes, as you mentioned, you know, it's not everyone's you know, experience, but I think there are things from your story that people can relate to. Because even if, you know, it's not coming from a war zone, but leaving your country is like leaving something behind, you know, it's leaving part of like your story, and we always attach, you know, no matter how, you know, home is home at the end of the day. Home is home. You can never replace that. It's like
that's not even a question. And the funniest thing is like we always have these conversations, especially with, you know, like Canadian people. We're just having a nice conversation like, oh, how was it back home? Would you go back? Would you like one you like more? You know what I mean? I'm like, don't even put that conversation, you know, like that, don't put that question in, because the answer will always be home, you know. And I think with all that being said, with everything that I've told you, war, this, that, you know, the lack of pretty much everything, I had a life. I had a life. That's what a lot of people don't understand. As an international person coming here to Canada, we didn't come from like an empty page and then we just started, life started here in Canada. No,
we had a whole life. Exactly.
My parents, my best friends, my family, the corner store, this, all of that. And that can never be substitute, at least for me. It could be different for somebody else, but for me it's just so when we have a conversation, it's always like, you know, how was it there? How do you compare it? I was like, I had my life in there. And I told you this earlier, maybe if I came in 16, 17 years old, it could have been a completely different story. You know what I mean? Because that's when the age you start being very conscious of what's happening around you and made friends here. But for me, it would always be the same. I had a beautiful life. With everything being said, I had a beautiful life.
Yeah, it was still beautiful. So, kind of
so it was never easy, you know, like just to stay here and you know, and you know, pursue the next thing, which is education and university.
I want to maybe dig deeper in the kind of adaptation part, kind of aside from what you mentioned, more the mental part, that which is actually not, you know, it's not just something that we put back, because I think integration, like not integration, but like kind of just the thing of living in a new country it takes a lot of the mental part actually, like because you need to like work on yourself. And I remember one of the first episodes that we did, and Amanda mentioned that, you know, when she arrived her first semester, she was just like living herself in the basement at one of the residents at QOMM-untiy, because her roommate has left and it was in winter and it was really difficult. She had like a real difficult time to like find friends and just connect with people, and she was kind of all by herself because she was just in that mindset, you know, I'm coming here for study, after that I'm leaving, you know. And I think sometimes it's easy for people just to come like that, or maybe just it might be easy also like to stay in your community surrounded by people that you think you might know, and we don't usually want to go far from our comfort zone, you know. Are there any challenges that you face, you know, related to that? You know, I kind of aside from the mental part, but you know, any preparation when you know arrive at Algonquin school. You mentioned that you wasn't speaking English and everything. So how was it for Anas?
The biggest thing I did intentionally, so that I distanced myself from everybody that spoke the same language as I.
Okay.
And there was a lot of them at the time at Algonquin College. Like
Okay.
there's a group of Libyan people, people from nearby cities and all of that. I intentionally distanced myself just for the purpose of learning English.
Okay.
You know, and at times I missed it. I see the gathering, I see the camaraderie, I see all of that. But I made it a rule when I arrived there. I was like, I'm here to learn English.
Okay.
If I stay with them, I'm gonna speak Arabic with them all the time, and then that's not gonna help me. So during my 8 months of college, like learning English, all my friends were from Brazil, Colombia, from China, Japan, like all other nationalities, but nationalities that speak the language I know, you know.
Okay.
So we were all forced to speak English.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think that's what kind of elevated my English very quickly because I had no other option than speak English to those people,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So, you know, we would go like to trips and go to places and all of that, and English is always the language to be spoken. So that's I think, I guess it's an advice in a way for people who are struggling with the language when I arrive here, whether it's English or French. It's very important to, you know, but also not just for the language, right? Just for like
Just for
culture in general, right? You were
Very
set
true,
in a
yeah.
certain way, you know things a certain way, and then you meet other people with different cultures, and like, wow, all right, okay, you know, and it is a shock at the beginning, you know. So it takes a long time to understand. Okay, well, I have my way, and they have their way, and they're both right. You know, they don't have to, you know, to be in conflict. So I think that's very important as well to get that exposure from different cultures. And I love that you asked me about the challenges, but I still didn't mention any challenges yet. I'm trying to think. You asked me what are the challenges you faced. Okay, what are the challenges? What are the other
I think
challenges?
you mentioned before we started that you know you kind of arrive and you apply actually here because your scholarship has passed. So
Yeah, I've mentioned that I'm terrible at time management, planning, anything related to that, and that's partly my personality, but also partly the environment that I lived in and where I come from. There's no such a thing as planning. So when I arrived here, I applied for Algonquin College a year before that, and my acceptance has expired and everything because I arrived late, and I didn't even have a place. I don't think I'm the best example for that. If you're trying to give your audience an advice, I'm not well. But that's how it was for me. So yeah, I had to go to the college when I arrived in Ottawa. They were like, hey, remember me? I applied a year ago and expired. Can I still study here?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, no problem. We have a program opening up
Yeah.
in 3 weeks. And I went and looked for rent for an apartment. So it was all when I arrived here. I'm not sure that's the best way to go about things, but that's how I did it. So I found a place and I rented an apartment, and that's it. Yeah, don't ask me anything about planning or management because nobody's gonna be getting any value out of it. Yeah.
no, but at least it's good because I think there are people out there that also have similar experience
Yeah,
and or are maybe planning to do the same without knowing the actual reality. So
No,
it's always
but
good to
I
know.
learned that
Yeah.
it's very important to
Important,
plan
yeah.
things. Yeah. Now, especially from the business side of
Yeah.
things and everything. No, it's you can't get things done in Canada if you don't
Yeah.
plan things ahead. It
It's
doesn't
true.
work like, oh, I'm gonna do this today, and I always laughed at people like, like, oh yeah, let's hang out this weekend. And they're like, well, how about the 25th of October?
Thank
Like,
you. My
that's
agenda
like-
is full.
that's
Thank you.
our life
This
now.
is yeah. My friends know me. They're gonna recognize
No,
myself.
like a month ahead, and I always like, what is wrong with those people? But I am that now, like the next 3 weekends are booked in different places with different things. So, because that's how you get things done here. So,
Planning is like, I think the more you grow up, the more you realize that you actually want to kind of planning and kind of sit what you're doing in a space. So definitely I feel you there. And do you have any question there, Shira? Just think about.
No, just like ask what would you say to the young Anas?
young Anas.
Yeah, before like Canada.
Anas that just arrived in 2014. He's
Yeah.
here. Look at
Oh,
him.
man.
How can you help him?
How can I help him? How can I help him? I think I would tell him to. Man, I'm terrible at these things, man.
It's okay.
I'm telling him you're doing great. I don't know what I would tell him. I wouldn't change anything the way it, you know what I mean? Yes, I faced challenges and stuff like that, that it would have been better if I knew prior. But at the same time, I learned my lesson properly once I hit a wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what? I don't know. I don't know what I would tell him. I would tell him, focus on yourself. Like this whole thing about like, I know like I can go on about the immigration papers and applying in PR and all that. This, if you're a person with any sort of intelligence that works just a little bit, you will get there. And you will get these papers, whether it's PR or whatever, work permit or all of that. If you're just doing what you're supposed to as far as studying and working, you know, you will get that. So there's no point in me telling you like there's this way. There's hundreds of ways in Canada to get those papers, right?
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to go back to that mental world of things. What I would tell him is that one of the things that I feel like I wish if I did from the beginning is that be who I am, keep the same person that I was in Libya, because at certain points when I arrived here, I strongly believe that I need to change everything in me as a person. You know what I mean? I am a loud person. If we get going right now, I'm like, rah, I'm gonna be yelling, and you know, like I don't have a way to control that, and I was like feeling bad for that. That I'm like, no, Ness, you need to be calm and collected. You need to, you know, listen to people finish their sentence. You know, this is who I am. Yeah, this is who I am as a person. It doesn't mean that I'm not supposed to get better. Of course, I'm supposed to get better at listening to people. I'm supposed to, you know, like have a more calm and collected way of talking, but I'm not gonna change it. This is who I am. This is how am I gonna thrive. If it clicks with people, it clicks. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. You know what I mean? So this is what I would tell my younger 2014 me is stay who you are. That doesn't mean you can't learn or you can't improve or you can't get better. But don't be like trying to, you know, reinvent the wheel and be like, nope, erase everything. Let's have this nice Anas that talks very calm and collected. And no, that's just gonna be impossible, and it's just gonna work opposite of what you think it will.
Exactly.
So just be who you are. Stay true to who you are.
Yeah, I think we can, before we finish, kind of dig deep into that, because I think there's a huge challenge about that many newcomers, or, you know, especially when you come here as an international student, because we often come really young. I came here, I was kind of 17. And you have that thing of, you are in a new country, and like, generally you come, you know, without the parents. Might be the first time you completely go outside of your home place, your home country, far from the people that you know, and live by yourself alone. And there's always that fight, or like, oof, do I become someone else in order like to be friend with other people? Do I, you know, leave my values behind? Do I leave, you know, what I believe in behind just because I want to be so integrated like in the country? And there's always that. I think like every immigrant can relate to that. And I really love what she says, like it's important to stay like true like to like our values, you know, because that is who we are. And at the end of the day, you can't just like erase like 17 years of your life and feel like it wasn't happening, you know, like you was birthed here, like I no, it was. That's not the reality.
Exactly. Yes.
The whole story that I had in my country is like made me who I am.
100%.
I'm gonna like I'm gonna like, you know, kind of grow up in Canada and learn new things, improve myself, because you know we are always like, I feel human beings who are always like evolving and, you know, learning new things, and it's just to make us better. But it's not like to erase everything, 100%. You know, your story, your value, your tradition, just because you want to fit in. And that's I think that's really, really important to say.
You said it right. That's the word I guess I was trying to find, is trying to fit in. That's what I tried occasionally. Like I wasn't like crazy, like, racing my identity and here I am, but it was more like at a certain occasions I can recall that I did something out of my way just to fit in, just to be with that certain type of vibe of group of this or that. And that's the only thing that I would tell myself is like, no, don't fit in. It either, like if, it works. If it works. If there's people you don't vibe, you don't vibe. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, we can't be friends with every people.
The best thing you can be is yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's why. Well, and that I think that carries out not just in like school or like even in business and everything.
Exactly.
Obviously, again, I'm not saying, for example, like I touched on me not being able to kind of have the best dialogue when I'm like yelling or like I'm not listening to other people. That doesn't mean I cannot get better at that. But just don't erase it all, as you said. Build on what you have. You know what I mean? So that's I 100% agree with you.
Exactly. No, but I think that's definitely key. I think that's a beautiful way to end on it. Like, don't just erase, your past, your values, we are your story, because your story is actually what makes you different from other people. Because, if you don't have a story, Anas has his own story. It's not Shedra's story. It's not my story. It's not your story, but it's beautiful in a way that we can learn from each other, and we can definitely grow from each other because we have those, those differences, that history, and it's beautiful because if you didn't have that, you cannot share it, and it's actually when you share it with people like oh wow, this actually made I think like our story like make people understand more about who we are, and that's the beauty of it. And if you want to erase that, you're not gonna be the true you to the people that you're showing it, and it's gonna come out easily because I don't think you can be fake for too long. Personally, that's too much energy. I don't know how you do that.
And also I feel like another thing is that don't underestimate your story.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I think like I think that the problem that I see from a perspective of a Canadian, for example, they try to narrow down international people as one experience or as one, you know what I mean? It is completely different. My experience is way different than yours. It's way different than yours. Exactly. My life in Libya was way different than yours, than way different. Exactly. But don't underestimate it. You know what I mean? Like, just because you had this certain type of, like, there's a concept that everybody that comes from Canada, for example, comes from underprivileged or comes poor or something like that.
No,
that's not the story. But seriously, there's a lot of people that were doing an amazing life, and they are downsizing when they're coming here to Moncton. That's a fact. People need to understand. But even like with all this being said, don't underestimate any story you have. That's what I'm trying to. It's your story, and that's what it makes you who you are. That's it.
I don't know about you, but I think I find the title for this episode.
Okay.
Don't underestimate your story.
There you
Thank
go.
you, Anas.
Yes, nice.
That's it. We have the title. That's gonna be the title of the episode. And no, thanks so much again, Anas, for taking the time, sharing your story with us.
Amazing.
And
it's good to reflect with people that have a similar experiences to mine. So.
Not same story, but similar.
Yes, exactly. Experiences. Yeah, not same story. 100%.
Okay, definitely. Yes. But we are really thankful for also you guys that are supporting us. It's really a beautiful journey. I'm just learning and growing with the podcast with you. So if you're new here, welcome to the community. Please subscribe, follow, like, and present yourself in the comment. And also please follow us on our social network, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Qu'est-ce, qu'On Mange à Midi. It's all written in the title, so don't worry, you can just copy paste it. And this episode is also available in all the audio platform. And until the next episode, what are we gonna say? Bon appétit!
Don't underestimate your story.